Here is a preview surprise to the 2019 Bright Walls Mural Festival. Two of the artists on the roster for Bright Walls, Justin Suarez and Sarah Rutherford. Welcome to Jackson.
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah, and welcome to our show. So a surprise, the Bright Walls mural team brought you in advance of the festival, and I think you surprised a lot of people when you started painting on the wall of the Blake building yesterday.
Awesome. Yeah, we just happened to be in Battle Creek for about 8 days. Got into Jackson 3-4 days ago now. So yeah, since we were in Battle Creek painting there, seemed like we could piggyback this project right in there.
And the wall that you're painting is the Blake building, and that wasn't one of the originally announced mural spaces, so it's an added bonus. And it looks to be a huge project, a huge mural. What are you doing?
Well, we are doing a collaborative piece, so Sarah and I worked together to figure out what subject matter we wanted to include. It's my understanding that there are some peregrine falcons that roost downtown in Jackson. I sort of specialize in painting wildlife, birds of prey in particular. Back home in Rochester, I work at a bird of prey sanctuary called Wild Wings, where I handle and work with eagles, owls, hawks, really the whole gamut. So yeah, when I found out that there were peregrines that were living in Jackson, it seemed like a really great thing to include.
All right, so we'll have a bird in the mural, and we'll also have a child. I understand this is the first child, Sarah, that you've ever painted on a mural?
It's not the first, but it's the first girl in a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just coming off, or in the midst of doing a project called Her Voice Carries, which is about featuring different local women's stories from different communities, and I actually did that for Color of the Creek in Battle Creek. So this is not that project, but it's in line in the same ideas. I'm bringing a real girl from another community and painting her here. She happens to be my niece. I've been wanting to paint her for a long time. And I think when you paint someone real, they have energy and, I don't know, personality that you can pull from in the painting. So it really gives it more soul.
As you were painting yesterday, I watched you were looking at a couple of pieces of paper in sheet protectors. Is it, you draw out what you're going to do first on paper?
We usually sort of come up with a photo collage of our designs on the computer, and then we'll print those out and we'll sketch from those. So various ways to get the sketch up on the wall, but in this case we decided to create a grid on the wall first. So our references had the grid printed out on there that we were then able to follow to get our sketch in. Otherwise, sometimes it's really difficult to have two artists sketching at the same time because you're not sure how proportions are going to end up and different things are going to land. So this logistically seemed like the best way to approach it.
Both of you are from what I understand is a pretty healthy mural town of Rochester, New York, and you collaborate with each other and other muralists. And how did you two decide that you were the fit to be able to do projects together?
Well, we've had a long history of making a whole bunch of art together in different ways, but it started with like a collaborative art group that we began 10 years ago. We were just young artists looking for camaraderie, I think, more than anything. And we built different installations, different spaces that you could come and experience art, not just a painting on a wall in a gallery. It was really more about people coming, experiencing, bringing people together in community. And then, Wall Therapy is the mural festival that we have in Rochester. Started 7 years ago, 7 or 8? 8 years ago. And it's what got me painting murals. I mean, I saw this one artist, Faith 47, coming from South Africa, painting this mural with spray paint, and I was just blown away. I was like, I want to do this. So, and Wall Therapy gave us a lot of opportunity locally, and then now we're getting to travel and go do this in other places. So when the festival first started in Rochester, people did not know what to make of it. And it's kind of similar city in that there's a lot of really big, beautiful buildings to paint. And after that first year, people have just been totally on board and excited about the project. And it's really put Rochester on the map in terms of the artwork that has been done there. There's over 140 murals just with wall therapy, never mind outside of the project.
Well, I think that we're going to see the same thing in Jackson. Last year, our first year, and people really didn't know what to make of this. Now we know. Well, you specialize in birds of prey because you work at a wildlife zoo kind of place?
It's a volunteer-run organization, and we house permanently injured, non-releasable birds. So all of them were either injured in the wild or injured by humans, and then we house them, we care for them, and we use them for educational purposes. But yeah, like working with those animals up close, like building relationships with them, it's made me not only better at painting them, but it's like really become a big part of my artistic story. And so that aspect of like the handling of the animals, the interaction, that was a big theme behind our mural as well.
Well, we've got some photos of some of the murals that you guys have done together. And are you going to come back for September 5th through the 10th?
We actually will not be back here for the festival.
Yep, we're just here to preview. This mural is part of the Her Voice Carries series that I mentioned in Rochester, and that's where it began.
How tall is that?
That is, I believe, 6 stories, so it's taller than the one that's here by a story.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And this is a piece that I recently did in Chicago in June. And that was at the time the tallest piece I had ever worked on, but the wall that I'm on now is.
Because you're on a roof, it looks like you had to stand on a roof to paint this?
No, I had a boom lift.
Okay.
Yeah, same sort of apparatus that we have for this.
Yeah, it's again another part of the series of Her Voice Carries. I started it in Rochester, and I chose 5 women who are living and working in different communities and who are lifting up the voices of others. And I painted them in a different neighborhood than where they were from. And that idea was to kind of build connection. And now I'm translating it to a national stage where I'm bringing a woman from one community to the next community. Again, telling these highly individualized stories, but through that I'm hoping to get at a collective message.
Beautiful work.
Thanks.
This is a screech owl that I painted in Houston, Texas 2 years ago for a graffiti jam called The Meeting of Styles.
And you'll notice it's signed Mr. Is it Pervert?
It is.
Okay.
The artist alias that I use, I refer to the dictionary definition of the verb to pervert, which is to alter or change the original meaning or course of something. You will find throughout my work that, there is nothing perverted about it.
And there's a website as well. Justin, you started painting before I think it was legal. You were doing it as a illegal graffiti artist.
Yeah, absolutely. That was how I first fell in love with spray paint, was writing that name on things that didn't belong to me. There were a couple local artists in my hometown of Albany, New York, who were doing graffiti, but they were doing it in a different way. So they were taking stencils and spray painting those onto buildings or whatever. And seeing graffiti that was imagery based instead of letter based not only appealed to me, but it appealed to a lot of people in the general public. So when I started to see that people were like latching on to these images that would pop up on the street unexpectedly, I saw that there was, a really different path to go.
Did you get into any trouble before you were a professional?
I did not,
No.
knock on wood. Some close calls though.
You actually, I think, trained, you were planning to be a tattoo artist, weren't you?
That was actually, the first reason that I moved from Albany to Rochester. I took a tattoo apprenticeship for 9 months. I decided not to go in that direction with my personal work, but what I like to tell people now is that I prefer to make permanent marks on walls.
Tattooing buildings. Well, you've just been in Jackson for just a couple of days, and this is your first time here too, isn't it?
Yeah, it was my first time in Battle Creek and my first time in Jackson.
What do you think of Jackson and the murals that you've seen here?
Yeah, I was blown away that that was all done in 1 year. And again, just thinking about the scale of the walls and the magnitude of them, it was a powerful thing to walk around downtown and see them all. And some
Yeah.
artists that we know and recognize, and it's cool to see. A couple of them I hadn't seen in person, just like online. So it was cool to see the murals in person.
So your world, really, there's a lot of celebrity in muralists, and we've had some here. And we were talking before the show, you probably were the headliners in Battle Creek, and you're well known, particularly throughout the Northeast. So it's a life career you can make out of this.
Totally.
Yeah.
And people are known in different ways and in different circles, and I think that's what's kind of cool. Like in Battle Creek, we're part of the festival, and we got to know some other artists, and they were from LA and Chicago, and just like branching out and gaining those connections. And we're the preview artists for this festival, but all those other artists that are coming as well, it's a great chance to get to know each other, and for local artists to get to know them as well. So it just really expands those networks.
I think one thing that happens with mural festivals is that you spawn a whole new generation of potential muralists. And this year, the Bright Walls team is having artist talks, and one of those talks is going to be how do I paint a mural on my building?
Yeah.
You just don't walk up to a wall and start spraying.
No, but there's so many different approaches, whether it's projecting, gridding, good old-fashioned sketching, and there's even it's kind of hard to get into, but what people have begun to call the scribble technique, where you sort of make reference marks on the wall and then transpose your image on top of that, and you use those marks as reference points. Very similar to the idea of a grid.
There are a lot of things, though, that go into painting murals that are different than painting a canvas. So getting to know how to drive a boom lift, and getting to know like what kind of how the wall should be prepped, how what paints you use with what. There's a lot of technical stuff behind it that the more you do, the more you learn. Again, when you see other artists doing things in a variety of different ways, you can pick up. But yeah, there's been a lot in terms of that education of just hands-on practice.
I couldn't do it. I'm afraid of heights. I don't like the boom trucks. They scare me, and I'm not artistic. So
I'm afraid of heights too,
are
actually.
you really?
Yeah. The first day is always the hardest, but today I'm feeling a little less shaky.
Well, those boom trucks, they look like they could tip over.
And they sway. Definitely
Yeah.
when you're painting, there's some boom sway going on. So
Yeah.
Well, you may have noticed throughout town we've got banners and posters, and we're all ready for September 5th through the 10th. The Bright Walls team, the Jackson Young Professionals, and the Bright Wall team, they've been hard at work getting the town ready, prepping walls. They've been hanging banners on light poles. What else have they been doing? They've been making tons of arrangements to get the town ready for September 5th through the 10th. Beautiful mural, beautiful posters. Nice job, Bright Walls people. And then the festival runs September 5th through the 10th. On September 5th, it's Get Started, sponsored by JTV, and that will happen at the festival grounds, which is going to be in the lot, the park, adjacent to the soon-to-be Veritas restaurant, formerly 151. And then it continues special themes each day, and you're invited to come down each and every day. There are going to be concerts, there will be hands-on opportunities, we'll have a ton of local artists, there'll be artists that will be giving talks, and it's just fun to watch. And that's going to be, for you, that has to be part of the thrill of being a muralist, is knowing that you're not doing this in some studio and there's a big unveil. You've got people watching you from the very beginning.
it's the hard part and the beautiful part. It's really hard when you are in the ugly stage of a painting or struggling with something or have to leave, like it gets dark, you have to leave for the night and know that it's like halfway done. It can torment you as well as being, again, I know it's fun for people to see the process. So I do think there's like ownership and people really seeing how it all comes to life. But it can be a challenge too, for sure.
Are there sidewalk critics that make comments while you're in the middle of it?
There usually are, but this time around we've gotten nothing but positivity from people.
Good.
But yeah, there's always the peanut gallery. People that are gonna tell you that your bird looks like a duck or something along those lines.
Well, I think one of the most photographed murals from last year was a bird. Which
Was it the
is
pigeon?
the
Yeah.
pigeon.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't even want to admit it's a pigeon. But
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's
Pigeons have a
pigeon.
bad rap for some reason.
They do.
Now, being a board guide, should a pigeon have a bad rap?
Well, I mean, most wild pigeons do carry a disease that's transmittable to humans. But that said, they're beautiful animals. I do know some people in New York City that like keep them in coops and flock them. I know that Adele is very passionate about people that do that as well. And either way, it's kind of awesome to take something that most people think of as a flying rat or like an animal that people dislike and to paint it in such a passionate, beautiful way to where people are like, that's a beautiful animal.
Well, we can't wait to see what you guys accomplish in the next 2 days. You're out of here Thursday, right?
Yeah,
All right. Well, it looks like the weather's going to hold up.
Great.
I hope so.
And do you ever get paint off your hands?
Yeah, today's the worst because we're doing a lot of filling. Once
Yeah.
we spray paint, they look a little bit better, but yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to the hotel bed sheets.
Well, thanks for being on our show today, and thanks for kicking off the preview for Bright Walls 2019.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
You bet.
thank you.
Look forward to the finished piece on the north side of the Blake Building along Bucky Harris Park. Mural artists Justin Suarez and Sarah Rutherford. Well, next up on JTV, it's your turn to be on the show. We'll play the Lloyd Gann Retirement Center's Daily